Hi knitters, it's Louise here from Wildflower Wool. Thank you for coming back to the channel and following up on the progress of this sweater. Last time I was here, I was showing you how I had steeked this ferrule sweater. Is knit in the round as like you would for a pullover, but I'm going to make it into a cardigan. So what I wanted to show you, I've started working the crocheted reinforcement slip stitch on either side of my steek. I have a 5-stitch steek in here. So what that means is I've added in 5 extra stitches that don't go with the pattern. They're just 5 extra stitches. And what I've got, I've used different colors here. The first and the 5th stitch, they're knit in the brown, same as the body of the sweater, because I'm going to pick up stitches along the edge here for my button band. The 2nd and 4th stitch of my steek is what I did in this yellow. And I just picked a contrasting color just to make it really super easy for picking up and crocheting my reinforced stitch. The 3rd stitch is this brown stitch right in the center. The yellow is outlining this one brown stitch. That is my cutting line. That's the stitch I'm going to cut right up the center of this stitch. So what I've done, I've picked, again, another contrasting color, and I've picked green, just to make it easy to see. All of these extra 5 stitches, once this is cut up the center, these yellow and green, they're going to tuck underneath in this 5th stitch of my steek stitches. That's where I'm going to pick up for the button band. So all of this is going to be tucked to the inside of the sweater, so you're not going to see it. So it doesn't matter if you use a contrasting color or not. And the contrasting color makes a world of difference in picking up these stitches. So what I've done on this side is I have found my center brown stitch that the yellow is outlined. I've picked up the right hand leg of the brown stitch and the left leg of the yellow stitch, and I've slip stitched them together. And I've just worked that all the way up right up into the neckline. And then I've just joined it off right in the very end. My this actually is my cast on edge because it's knit top down. So I've crocheted through that loop of my cast on edge. Now what I've done is I've come back down here and I have just again picked up through my cast on edge, and this time I'm working on the opposite side, so I'm picking up the right hand side of my yellow stitch and the left hand side of my brown stitch. And what that's doing is that cutting stitch, that brown stitch, both legs are being pulled apart, one to one yellow stitch, one to the other yellow stitch. And what it does, see that? See those? It gives you those nice horizontal strands of the brown stitch. That's exactly where you're going to snip. So what I'm doing up here, I've got this started a bit. My crocheting is very, very poor. Let's just say that. So I think I said in the other video that if I can do this, anybody can do this. So what I'm going to do, and see how this lies, it really just folds open for you. Check and see you're picking up every leg of this brown stitch. So I've picked up here, so I'm going to come in down here. I'm picking up the edge of the yellow and the edge of the brown. Wrap it around my crochet hook. I pull it through my 2 steek stitches and then again just pull it through the loop, the crocheted loop that was already on my hook. And you just keep repeating that. Find my next yellow stitch and find my next brown stitch. Wrap the yarn around the hook, pull it through my 2 yellow, my sweater stitches, my steek stitches, and back through the crochet. And I found once I get going on this, it's, except for this yellow stitch is kind of funny, so whatever I've done with it when I was knitting, but there we go. So the important thing here is that I'm not picking up both legs of one stitch, because that's not going to hold anything together. What we want is a leg from either stitch. My cutting stitch and the yellow that's on either side of it. There. See, look at this. I'm feeling much more comfortable doing this. Now, you crocheters out there are probably saying, oh my, that I can probably